Welcome to The One Thing, where each episode features our signature segment, Pandora's Box. We dive into hot topics that challenge the norm and ignite real conversation.
Inspired by Greek mythology, Pandora's Box isn't just about chaos. It's about truth, transformation and hope. That's what we bring to every conversation.
Have a cause or business that deserves to be seen? Want to be remembered forevermore? Be our next special guest. Contact us today at theonething@edgeradioaustralia.com.
Hello and welcome. I was a bit premature before, Aaron.
Very excited. She's ready to go. Primed.
I know. Welcome to Edge Radio Australia, and you are listening to The One Thing, which normally has three hosts, Aaron.
It does.
There's
Someone's
someone
playing
missing. Yes, there's someone who's having a fun old time down south. I've seen the photos and it's
And the videos.
just making me jealous. Lisa's not with us today, so I'm going to hand over to Aaron, who's going to introduce our very special guest today. And here's the ball.
Simple as that. You have handballed away. This is an absolute pleasure. This is a gentleman who we've got to know each other over the last few years, a true freedom fighter, somebody who actually really cares about the future of this country, somebody who cares about what's left as a legacy to his children and grandchildren, and for everybody's children and grandchildren. So a guy I'm very proud to call my friend. It is Daniel. Now, I've written his name down because for all of this time, I just go, that's Daniel with the Italian last name, right? It is Daniel Bettinelli. I mean, what a great name, hey? I had to throw the accent out there. I'm going to bring him on screen. Great to see you. How are you there, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you very much.
Did you enjoy me butchering your surname? Is that important?
I did, mate. I appreciate the effort, but let's just leave it to Bettinelli, should we?
All right, we'll just go with that. Okay. No more rolling of the tongue, mate. Now, you're there. You've obviously got a fantastic backdrop, which says The Unspoken Truth, and it's a show that you put forward on the internet. Now, before we get into things, just can you give us a little brief outline of what you're about, what Unspoken Truth is about, and what Mutual Respect is all about?
Yeah, surely. So firstly, I'd like to extend my appreciation and thank you very much for getting me on. I suppose Unspoken Truth come about because for a long time I was legally gagged and wasn't allowed to speak my truth. Now, as we both know, we met through being alienated fathers, and that sort of forced my hand to, firstly, Unspoken Truth was supposed to be for alienated fathers to share their stories.
Sure.
Since then, it sort of grew legs of its own, and now it's about any and all truth that needs to be spoken that very few are willing to speak nowadays. So,
well, you're right about that. It is very hard. A lot of people don't understand, and we'll sort of jump from different spaces back and forward a little bit here. But certainly in the parental alienation space, when it comes to family court, you do lose your freedom of speech. You're literally gagged legally from telling the truth, and that it changes you as a person. You realise that you've got important things to say, and you've literally got an organisation that is stopping you from telling the truth. It's unbelievable.
It is, and not until you're dragged into it do you realise just how far it goes. Because if somebody had told me beforehand that there'd ever be a point in time where I couldn't speak my truth publicly, I wouldn't have believed them. But as you know, when you go through family court and the other jurisdictions that I'm in under another legal gag order, surprise, surprise, it's almost like the truth nowadays is so offensive to the powers that be that they'll pull out any card they can to keep it hidden.
Absolutely.
Great point. Really
Absolutely.
Great point.
Yeah,
you're finding that free speech, they are doing everything possible to stop that from happening. And this is not a privilege. It's a right as far as I'm concerned. And come the end of this year, of course, the Australian Labor government is trying to take away the right for all Australians to actually speak freely without censorship, with, of course, this ridiculous control of which they sell as being safety. It's about the kids.
Oh, yeah.
But it's, as we all know, it's got a lot to do. It's a Trojan horse.
Well, again, anything they can hide behind the children and say it's all about the children. Well, if it was all about the children, you wouldn't be teaching or dictating to adults not to speak your truth. You'd want the children to learn how to do the same thing. So,
yeah.
So what have you found, Daniel? Hi, nice to meet you. We haven't met before, but I did say to Aaron we need to have a chat about something that's been on topic recently, which was about the rallies. But tell me, you're in Adelaide, is that correct?
that is correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So how long has it been that you have been subject to not being able to share your truth, or what year was this, movement that you've created with, particularly with fathers created?
Well, my journey started in 2016. To be
Yeah.
specific, on the 27th of July. That's when all hell broke loose. But since then, I suppose it's been something in the back of my mind for a long time. As I said before, because I've been restricted from speaking honestly, I wanted to create a platform. And I want to get one thing clear. I'm grateful for what you do, because it's extremely hard to do that. I don't appreciate being a public figure. So, I do hail you, the people that can do it comfortably. But I suppose probably the last couple of years, it's been something I've been edging towards. And then I first tried to do this in January last year. And then conveniently, I had 6 police officers at my house with historic charges to cease and remove all of my electronic devices.
Wow.
So 6 months later, they gave everything back and discontinued the charges. So I believe, in my opinion, that it was just simply to shut me up.
Yeah. Intimidation 101. And it's something that the police and those who actually are paying the police tend to use this. I mean, it's a real go-to technique. Use fear to stop people from telling the truth. And false accusations are a big, big thing. And we're going to actually see a lot of this when we're talking about the subject of, obviously, the rallies that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. There's another one coming up this Saturday as well, where everyday Australians, like yourself, mate, like me, we're all stepping up and saying, hey, it's about time we were heard. It seems like for far too long, these governments and these people working in the government have been working for others, certainly not the everyday Aussie.
They've been working for their own agenda.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we lost you there, Daniel?
I've lost sound, mate. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting in itself. But all right, mate. Well, if you could we've got you at this end. So perhaps if you can't hear us, it's going to be a bit of a drama.
I know. You're going to have to message him and tell him just to talk.
I might just do that. Keep talking, mate. I'll get the phone going in the meantime.
Talk.
I can't hear you.
All right. Well, actually, take this opportunity then. Leanne, you'd tell us your opinion, and I'll give Daniel a quick call. And
okay, perfect. You're going to mute yourself?
Yep.
Okay, so I wasn't able to be present at the rallies a couple of weeks ago. I had an event in Pemberton, but I did see the amount of people that were present, and I'm normally one to actually go to these things, and I actually felt like you said there was 18,000, Aaron, and I feel like it looked like more, like
it was just my estimate.
Yeah, your estimate. I think it's really important that people have that platform to be able to speak out. And I really do think that our government has too much control on what we say and how we say it. I also truly believe that we are now, as a country, assimilating to other people's belief systems, those that come in.
I am really struggling. I can't hear you, mate.
Rather than us.
All right. Can you hear us there, mate? Okay. And now everything at this end is saying that you are sweet and everything is bang on. But unfortunately, our friends on the internet have stepped in and said no.
Oh, maybe it's a conspiracy theory.
You never know. All right. So what I'll do is
love it.
All right. I'm going to just quickly call you on the phone. Very high tech methods indeed.
I fixed.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us?
I can, yeah. Sorry, I've got you back now.
Okay, Yay. Look at that. We're back in action, Jackson. Love it. All right. Nothing like
There's more than one way to silence us, isn't there?
Yeah, wow, there you go.
They can try as much as they like. They're really not going to achieve anything. But look, for you, mate, as I say, we've talked about like where your eyes were opened up. But let's just fast forward to today right now. Let's talk about the rallies. Let's talk about the media. Look, let's cut the crap. The media lies. I mean, the media has just been completely dishonest through this entire experience, what they've been trying to portray. And yourself, who's had obviously some involvement in the South Australian events there, what did you see the media displaying compared to what was actually happening in reality?
Well, they tried to make a song and dance out of it and create an issue that there was all these issues going on and the white supremacy group took over, but
Yeah.
it was literally just a very minute issue. There wasn't anything big. There was nothing like mainstream reported. It was very small.
It was very, very small. And I look, this is how I portrayed it, and I think this is as accurate. I'm not sure about the numbers, but my call in Western Australia, I said, here's what I saw. I saw 18,000 proud, fantastic West Australians and 20 dickheads, right? That's what I saw. Okay.
You're always going to get dickheads.
Of course, it doesn't
matter what you're doing. Yeah.
Everywhere. There is always, and you know what? That's again the power of free speech. As much as I didn't like what those nasty people had to say and their belief system, guess what? It's kind of their right to say it, just as it's our right to reject it. So, from what I saw from the private videos, from videos of citizens compared to what I saw on the corporate media, I suppose it was an extremely different experience, right?
Well, and that's the thing. If they want to paint themselves with that brush to play the white supremacy card, they have to live with that bullshit. That's not something I adhere to, and that doesn't make you Australian. Doesn't matter what colour you are, doesn't matter what flag you fly. A true Australian is somebody that stands united. They look after their mates, and they don't cop shit from the government or anybody else for that matter. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. I think. Go on.
Sorry, Daniel. What do you think has made people so complacent in their own ability to, to stand up for themselves? Do you think it's propaganda? Is it the media that's stopping that? Is it, do people, have that fear still? I feel like more people are standing up now, but it's not showing it. It just feels like it's not showing it. What's your take on that, Daniel?
Well, my take is, and that's a great question, because I think fear is part of it, but I also think that, and we see this a lot on social media, and that is somebody threw out a clip a while back where this lady said that govern me harder, Australia. So majority of Australians, they fall in line. I don't know why, but for some reason they think the government actually have their best interests at heart. I mean, if you open your eyes and you don't have blinkers on, you can clearly see that they're running an agenda, and that agenda is not in the best interest of everyday Australians.
I think we are one of the highest tax countries in the world.
Yeah.
My relatives have come over from New Zealand, and she bought herself 10 of these alcoholic drinks, lemon alcoholic drinks. And it was $51. And she said, I can get 24 for that in New Zealand. I said, that's because of our taxes.
Oh, that's right.
She goes, I don't drink very often. Lucky I don't. And I said, I know. And sometimes that's just a vice for people, having a beer or having a drink after work, just having that chill. But they're even taxing us that much on stuff like that. I don't understand where people's mentality are at. I really don't. That they think
to go a little bit further on that, the tobacco. That is, I'm glad I don't smoke. God,
me too.
Who can afford to smoke, mate? Honestly,
yeah.
Be very well. It's never been something that I've been into, but again, I'm not a smoker, but I respect people's right to do it. Okay, if that's your thing, if you want to do it, knock yourself out. Right?
What do you think they're doing with all our tax dollars, Daniel?
Well, I think they're lining their own pockets. It's not going back into the system like they claim it is. I mean, for God's sake, they're even talking about taxing the spare room.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no end to what these dickheads will do, pardon the French. But it's, if you act like something, I'm going to refer to you as that. And Albanese is a dickhead. It's as simple as that.
Yes. Well,
he's a traitor. He's an absolute traitor to this country. And you know what? Here's the thing. Okay, what we've just said, those last few seconds, can literally in December put you and me, and maybe you too, Leanne, in cuffs, right? That's the reality of it. They're literally making any criticism of the government illegal. No, I'm sorry. Well, guess what? Get the handcuffs out. I might even bloody like it. Who knows? I'm
not even going to go there.
No, we won't
Sorry.
go there. No.
that opens itself up for a
there's
lot of
Pandora's box.
There's no beer in jail, Aaron, just so you know.
Cheers. Okay. To freedom. But it is unbelievable to think that something so fundamental as having a conversation and if we wind the clock way back, this country is about this. Okay, we talk about our great heroes. We talk about Ned Kelly. We talk about, what happened, the Eureka Stockade. We talk about these things where there was that clash with government This is part of our DNA. But that has been so washed over the longest period of time, and we're seeing the difference in it, right? Like we're literally just before we came onto air, we were talking about the fact that the great part of Aussie culture is pulling the piss out of each other, right?
And we do that well.
We do, absolutely. Yeah, next level. Now, here's the thing. If I stop pulling the piss out of you, I don't think we're friends anymore, right? And that literally has become illegal. It really has. I see this as a worldwide agenda against freedom. I really do. I think that, it's without doubt the UK, Canada and Australia have been the three primary nations that have been the focus of this, the test studies, if you like. And like I've said many, many times, and I will keep saying it, the greatest thing about Australia is its apathy. And the worst thing about Australia is its apathy. She'll be right, is right now causing us to destroy the futures for our children and our grandkids.
Well said. And that's what it comes down to is it's un-Australian not to stand up for future generations. So if you know something's wrong and yet you're remaining silent because of your own personal fear, imagine how much harder it's going to be for the future generations to have an opinion publicly if you're too scared to do it now.
I don't know if I was of childbearing age now, I don't know if I'd have a child because I don't know what I'm bringing that child into. I worry about my kids. They're 30 and 28, but I worry about them. Imagine if a grandchild came into the picture and what they have to deal with. So my question to you, Daniel, is do you think that doing these rallies will actually change anything in the government?
I would like to hope so. And the only way that I see them actually becoming powerful enough to concern the government is in mass numbers. And I get a lot of feedback about this on social media that, it's a waste of time and something's better than nothing. To sit around and say, you're not doing anything. Well, at least we're out there trying to do something. But do I think it's going to be enough? At this point, I'm not sure. I do believe the global agenda is in full swing. And as Aaron said, we are a test country. And if you can make Australians bow down, I think you can make any country bow down.
I think we've become lazy.
Very much so. Yeah.
I think we have just become really super lazy. And I think, you're going on about an agenda. I think that has been instilled over time. That laziness has been pushed on us.
Couldn't agree more. Now, we've got a question in from Lisa L. Thank you very much for the question. She said, how do we set things? Hang on.
How do we set things right?
Yeah.
Is what she meant.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I haven't got my glasses on. Good old vanity, but there we go. And that's a great question, Lisa. And I'd really love to hear your opinion there, Daniel. What are your thoughts? How can we set things right?
First and foremost, we should nominate Aaron Malloy to be PM. I think that would be a great start.
Oh, dear. What a mess that would make. We have a lot of fun, though. I'll tell you right now. Speed limits would certainly go up. But
but who will be pulling your strings, Aaron? That's what I want to know. Because all PMs are being little puppets on strings, aren't they? So
here's where you've got a great point there, right? And no, I'm never going to be PM. But I'm telling you right now, if I was, there is no strings you could pull. Because some people, right, we value our independence and our integrity enough that we can't be bought.
Yeah.
Because I sit here in this role right now at Edge Radio Australia, and people have attempted to buy my opinion. All right, people have literally tried to have a controlling interest, and I keep saying no, right? And it's, look, hey, would it make life easier? Yes, it would, as far as a financial sense. But integrity is not for sale. Now, when we talk about elbow, or just look at Dan Andrews. I mean, come on, right?
Do we have to?
Yeah, look. I'd like to look at Dan Andrews and then miss the brake pedal. But, I think it is unbelievable that men and women of this caliber are able to run this country. When we were talking about the rallies and the size of the rallies, I think this is something that sticks in my mind. That we are achieving something you might not even realise. We're now awakening far and far more Australians to what an incredibly compromised and weak man our Prime Minister is. People now know that. So when the next election comes, I cannot see any possibility that he would win. Mind you, I didn't on the last one, but on the last one, Liberal lost the election, Labor didn't win it. Right?
I have no idea how Labor even got in.
Look, okay.
Everyone I've talked to have said they haven't voted Labor, but so they must have voted minor parties whose votes all went to Labor. So people have to get a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
Right. Stop being so like putting your head in the sand. Stop being an ostrich and have a look at who you're voting for.
Yeah. But we don't do the research, do we, mate?
No, it's not that I think it's not even that we don't do the research, but as Australians as a whole, we're more inclined to go to a football match that has a pointless ending for our future generations and carry on about the good or bad decision that the umpire might give against your team. Yep. All of a sudden that becomes a priority when and don't get me wrong, I love Geelong Football Club. I'm a big fan of AFL rugby.
We were mates until that point. What's going on? I'm just teasing, mate. Geelong was sponsored by Ford for a long time. South Australian, I understand. I get it.
Well, look, but it's the point that I'd like to make is this. I think we are deliberately not taught what we need to benefit us as a whole in Australians. From the younger age, we're not taught things that are beneficial through primary or secondary school.
Well, that's because of the school system. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And they keep us dumb. They keep us compliant. They keep us in line. They keep us in order. And like Anne touched on, she'll be right. It's not right, but everybody thinks it is. So, yeah, I think.
And I think too, going back to politics and how Labor got in, they were very sneaky in which parties went through over to Labor. So you've got the Cannabis Party, right?
Yeah.
People are going, yeah, we're going to vote for the Cannabis Party. Well, what happens?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all their preferences straight to Labor.
Yeah.
Right? Greens. Green is, they're the Communist Party. Let's cut the crap. They literally, they are green on the outside. They are so red on the inside. They make every decision through, committee. They're not green. They don't care about the environment. This is my opinion, but I'll tell you right now, strike it down as fact as far as I'm concerned. They are, in my eyes, they are just a very sneaky advertising campaign for the Labor Party. That's what they are. And the Labor Party is a socialist party. Socialism is just a form of communism. And what did our diggers go and fight for? They fought to keep Australia away from communism. It just does my head in. Hey, time for a very quick break. Back in tick. It's Edge Radio Australia. You're watching The One Thing.
Is pain holding you back? Bowen Therapy with Panacea Healing can change that for you. It's never too late to recharge your health, career, or purpose. You have the power within yourself to change what no longer serves you, taking your life and health to another level. panaceahealing.com.au. You can do anything.
Absolutely anything.
Absolutely anything. You are back on The One Thing here on Edge Radio Australia. And I've got the amazing Daniel here. It is great, mate, to have you on the show. Really appreciate it. And you are one of the most real human beings I've ever met, okay? And guess what? That used to not be rare, mate. You used to become a supporter, right?
Yeah. And what I say publicly and what I post publicly used to be very common. Everybody would do the same thing without a hesitation. And I think and I appreciate your pump up, but I think the fact of the matter is I just don't give a shit what other people think of me. I'm here for a bigger purpose, and that is I will at some point be able to reinstate mutual respect for future generations. And if not, I'll die trying. So that's simply how I'm going to see the rest of my life.
Okay, now Lisa Earls popped in with another fantastic question. So how can we start learning what we need to know? Well, where do we look? All right, who wants this one?
It's a really good question for Lisa to ask because she's a homeschooler.
Okay.
So being a homeschooler, there's a lot of community out there that are doing homeschooling. So I'd love for that to come to the forefront. Where do we start looking? Where do our kids get that education from? It has to start at home, but how do we instill that?
How about we take control of the home again? How about we actually allow families to exist? Obviously, as I say, that the way that Daniel and I got to know each other is because we've been alienated as parents. Our families were torn apart, and they were torn apart by outside structures, not our own. Don't get me wrong, personal responsibility all the way. I take personal responsibility for my part in things, but we live in a world where the family unit used to be sacred. It used to be such a an important place. Now it is something that's torn apart for control and economic reasons, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly that. A government overreach. They've embedded themselves into people's homes because it makes more money. We're easier to control if we're too busy arguing and divisive. And children used to respect their parents, irrespective if the parents broke up or not.
Yep. That's right.
That went down with the school. I remember the boys coming home and I don't have to listen to you because I got told at school, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. I don't know where you're going to live.
Yeah. It was at that point you should have bought them a tent.
Yeah.
And you said, catch you later. Yeah.
I know, I'm buying them. They can buy their own tent.
I remember telling my parents, that's it, I've had enough. I'm going. I've had a gutful. And they said, we'll see you when it gets dark. You'll come back.
Yeah.
Sure enough,
and it was, I'm going to take this and I'm going to take that. Well, that's mine and that's mine and you can't take that. And
but again, it comes back to boundaries, doesn't it? Children used to know where to get to before they'd be in trouble and there'd be consequences for actions. But now, if you're not going to let me do something, I'll report you. If you won't let me change my gender, I'll report you. You know, we've got right out of hand where children are no longer allowed to just worry about being children anymore. They're being coerced into thinking about things they should never have to worry about.
It is so controlling indeed. Now, great. Some comments coming in from Tess. I really appreciate that, Tess.
Yeah.
What have we got here? We've got the family unit is being broken down because the government wants people separated. Vulnerable and weak. It's part of the Socialist Marxist Manifesto. Spot on. Couldn't have said it better myself, Tess. Absolutely perfect comment there. And it's true because people go, okay, what's the government, what's their advantage to breaking up the family? Even just stepping away from that comment there, it's very, very simple. Economics. You now need another house, which means you need another power bill, which means you need another gas bill, which means you need another water bill. All of these things, car, insurance, it stimulates the economy, right? And
we haven't got enough houses to go around as it is, Aaron.
Oh, there's plenty.
I don't know where you're going to be.
There's plenty. Oh, apparently there's plenty. Ask Albo. He'll be knocking them up. No worries about that. But this is the fact. Unfortunately, we're seen by our governments as cattle, right? We're seen as, well, maybe even ants, okay? We are just simply there to work for their purposes and their agendas. Now, I mean,
Is that why they're bringing all these people in, immigrants in?
Because
that was what the rally was about, right?
Well, was it really about that?
Yeah, it was about a little bit about that. It was about,
I believe that was one of the topics, but I didn't attend just due to mass immigration, being an Aussie wog that I am. Yep. Obviously, I've come from an immigrant background.
Immigrants too, so
it's more. Yeah, I just seen it as more. It's government overreach was why I attended, and it was from chemtrails through to stuff they're putting in the food, trying to force and mandate jabs, all the things that you're told you should never be peer pressured into doing. All of a sudden, our government are doing it to us, and it's okay. So that was that's why I attended anyway.
Well, a lot of people attended because of the immigration, and I don't have a problem with immigration, but for me, it feels like there's been a lot of immigration lately. Like, I don't even think, like my sons can't, how are they ever going to afford to buy a home? How are your children ever going to afford to buy a home with what's going on economically at the moment? It's just ridiculous.
Okay, if we wind the clock back and people go, you can't live in the past, but okay, let's cut the crap. In the 50s and the 60s, it was 2 years of your average wage to buy a home, 2 years, all right? Now, even if you believe that the average wage is, okay, let's just say 80,000, okay? I'm sure that's not it, but we'll give it a go. So, okay, our house is 160 grand.
Well, when we bought our first house in 1989, it cost us just over $80,000, and I would say that would be double our wage. The 2 years wage, right? Now you're looking at a house, a 3x1, for $800,000, $900,000.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, imagine if you lived in Sydney. Not a chance in the world. It is so.
This is in Perth.
Yeah,
Perth is the back end of the back end.
Hey!
We are wait a while.
Come on, Perth. We are wait a while. We are also the sunshine capital of the world.
We are.
And we have the most beautiful women. That's a fact.
Yeah, I agree.
No bias at all there, is there? None whatsoever.
whatsoever.
You know what? I wouldn't even try and make the statement to back Adelaide up into that. So we'll just leave that.
Oh, dear. Now, we've got a comment from Lisa L again. So thank you very much, Lisa. Always great questions from you. And I mentioned that because we've got so many Lisas. I think our main demographic for the show is people called Lisa. We do very well.
Yeah,
so, look, immigration.
people with L.
With the little
Leanne,
L.
Lisa,
geez.
you know.
Okay, well, as Laren, my next question is, immigration is fine if immigrants are here to enjoy the Aussie lifestyle and values and contribute to Australia. Boom.
Absolutely. But we're not. We're assimilating to their cultures.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's exactly what we're doing.
Oh,
my parents had to actually integrate into Australian culture. They had to learn the language, they had to learn the English language, and they had to assimilate into Australian culture. And they did that, and they did that really, really well. That's not happening now.
Look, am I right to assume you were born in Australia?
Yes, I was born in Australia.
So first generation Aussie.
Yeah.
Oi, oi, oi. How about you there, Daniel?
Yeah, no, I was born here, although the last name probably doesn't make that obvious, but yes, I was.
Yeah, but my point being is, our parents were immigrants.
Yeah.
So it's not about being anti-immigrant.
No,
by any stretch of imagination. But you're right. I mean, when my family came to Australia, guess what they had to do? They had to fit in, and enhance the Australian lifestyle, not take it over. And that's a big part of what's going on here right now. And also, and I'm going to bring up a poignant comment, I believe it is, about what's going on right now. Now, Jacinta Napacinta Price, made the comment the other day about the amount of Indian immigration. So I can put my hand in the air and I can say this, and anyone wants to label me a racist, guess what? I'm half Indian, so have a crack, all right? We have too much Indian immigration right now. It is not because Indians are bad people, anything like that. In fact, Indians come to this country, they work very hard.
Yeah.
They do integrate better than other countries as well. There's history of that kind of thing. But what I'm getting at is, if you have too many of any particular number of people, you change the culture, right? Now, if you had, again, totally not against immigration, but if you keep the numbers at a rate that steadily flows and people come and integrate, you don't lose your culture. Now, we've been talking about the fact, your Dutch heritage, your Italian heritage. Now, pardon?
Yeah, Italian. Yeah.
Now, if I go and get myself in a plane and I fly to Italy, guess what I want? I want to see beautiful buildings there. I want to see all that
food,
that famous architecture. I was getting to the food, trust me. Okay. I want that food. Look, this body wasn't made on exercise, right? So I want that beautiful Italian food. I want to experience that culture. Okay. I don't want to go to a country that's nothing but IKEA furniture. Okay. Which is what the world has become so homogenized and made the same. I want to go to Italy for that. So if you come to Australia, guess what you want? You want to see Australian culture.
Yeah.
If I go to the UK, too late for the UK, it's over the UK. But I want to see English culture. If I go
English pub.
English pub, damn straight. Cheers to that. All these countries, that's why you're going there. So if you take over the world and you became just one, two things, it shows very much that, as I say, those who are in power very much consider us to be their pets or their ants or their cattle, because they don't care about that sort of thing. But it diminishes the world. And of course, why would you travel if everything looked the same, right?
Absolutely, 100%. But it's the old Paul Hogan, right?
Yep.
Chuck another shrimp on the barbie. Well, chuck another steak on the barbie and some sausages, and come in and be enveloped by our beautiful beaches and our natural resources, because that's what Australia is. We have the most beautiful country in the world, but it's just going to shit.
It is. Okay, now, speaking of shit, let's talk politics. Okay, so right now, Tess just put up a great comment. Jacinta has been asked to stand down by Susan Ley from the Shadow Ministry, right? Now, that says so many things. Now, Jacinta Napacinta Price, and my pronunciation is lousy on that, but is someone I've actually met. Actually, someone I've spent time with, had a chat with on a couple of occasions, and is an absolutely wonderful Australian. Okay, and we shared some jokes and we had a great time and we talked about some very serious stuff. And she is incredibly intelligent, but she understands the nuance of the love of this country, right? Now, with Susan Ley, what have you got? Okay, right now we have in this country we have Labor and we have Labor Light. We don't have a Liberal Party. And the best thing, if Susan Ley is asking Jacinta to actually stand down, that is, to my mind, the clearest indication, full stop, that Susan Lane, it's time to go. You're only ever put in there as a caretaker position. You were put in there because everybody knew that was only going to be a temporary spot. You've shown yourself in such a short amount of time to be so incredibly weak. What we need right now is we need politicians who stand up and actually care about the people of this country,
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think the problem, and only my opinion, and there are Alex Antics, another one. Jacinta's a great representative. But I think majority of the politicians in this country are, like touched on before, they're just puppets. They're just there to create a divide. They're there to push their own agenda. And sadly, they're there to destroy our culture and our children's future. And I truly believe that.
What would you say would be the biggest hurdle as for us going forward? Or the other flip side of that, what would be the biggest thing that we could do going forward?
I think, like you touched on before, make sure you understand where your votes are going. But even more than that, again, only my opinion, but if everybody decided to stop adhering and bowing down in fear to these global puppet masters, it all stops. It literally all stops. One or two will be picked off, but if enough of us stood united, it would have to stop.
And what do you think will make the difference in people hearing that message? How do you think we can get that out there?
That's a great question, because I've been rattling my brain for the last 18 months trying to work out how to plant the seed to make people, but you can't force people to become aware of, and me and Aaron have touched on this, sometimes it takes a very traumatic experience in your life before the curtain gets pulled back on the level of corruption that we're all living in.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a case of, like what you're currently doing, Aaron, and what you're doing with the, the unspoken as well, Daniel, and that's just keep plugging away with, shows, making people aware of it, trying to get that message through to the masses. Maybe, it's going to be harder and harder with social media, which is where you get most people's attention, right? But maybe it's a case of that. Maybe it's a case of it'd be great if we had a few, multi-millionaire philanthropists that were on our side and, we had billboards up or something like that. But I think we just need to keep plugging at it, because eventually people will listen.
I think you're right, but I would like to say that everybody's capable of having a public opinion. Stop allowing, and this is why they're called opinions. They're not called facts, because everybody's allowed to have their own. So you don't have to be fearful of saying something that you believe in, because that's why it's your opinion. Stop hiding behind that, somebody might label me something if I say something in the public arena. Well, Anthony Albanese, this is my opinion and my description of Anthony Albanese, and that is that he is a homosexual man trapped in a toxic feminist body that identifies as a ventriloquist doll. Now, nobody has to agree with me. That is my personal opinion of this man. Okay?
It's put a good image in my brain, though.
I know.
I apologise for that.
A bloody awful image in my brain. So thanks for that, Daniel. Really appreciate that.
Classic.
I'm now not going to sleep for weeks. Thanks, mate.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Tess, great comment there. One conversation at a time. Correct. This is true. What we're doing there, mate, one conversation time. We keep chatting about these things. The more we talk about it, the more it comes to the surface. This is what we need to do. And
people are so afraid of ridicule when you talk. Yes. They're so afraid of ridicule. There's fear associated with, being wrong. And I think that stems from school again. I think that stems from going to school. No, that is wrong. You were told that you were wrong all the time. You know, like if you debate something, go back to bloody, being Catholic and asking, well, how do you know the Bible's real? You're wrong. You shouldn't be asking those questions. I think we're not allowing our kids to ask the questions and having them, open to create their own and form their own opinions.
It's like the comment, okay, we've certainly experienced this one over the last few years, trust the science. Okay, what is science? Science is asking questions.
Yeah.
Doing experiments to find out what the facts are. So if you trust the science, you need to trust the process of actually checking things, saying why, being inquisitive. That's science, not, the results.
And if you dig up that science, going back to the jibby jabs, right? If you dig up on that science and you find out really what's in that science, and not just take on face value what they want you to see, the print they wanted you to see.
It's a great point.
Bang.
It's a great point.
Well, when did trusting the science mean following the money? I missed that.
And no matter what you do on all of these, I mean, I see all sorts of scientific reports here and there and everywhere, as I suppose most of us do in one way or another. And honestly, if you follow the money on everyone, there is the answer.
Yeah.
There's been so, and I could recite it, and something you and I have experienced here, Daniel, with the Duluth principles and the study there, where the Duluth principle is literally a study that all social policy has been written about in the Western world, right? Now, the Duluth principle actually came out, that the person who wrote it literally came out 2 years after the principle and said, well, actually, we were told what they wanted the result to be, and we literally made the science fit the result. That is 43 years since that's been in place, and social policy has been written on a lie for 43 years. Unbelievable, right?
Yeah, no, well said. And to go even further, then you've got Emily's List. For people that have never heard of that, I suggest to do a quick research on that, and you'll find out how predominantly politicians and business ladies are encouraged to basically receive handouts as long as they meet certain KPIs.
Yeah, 100%. Another great comment here. Now, Tess has put, learn one topic really well, gather a little proof and talk about it. Small bites rather than the whole TED talks about it. Yeah, very, very, very true. We can't be an expert in everything, No. Stay in your lane, learn it really, really well. I'm going to actually sort of spin
back. Just to intervene there quickly, even, again, coming back to, even if you're not an expert on a topic, you can still express your own opinion. Just be willing to understand that, actually, I'll go back to a conversation we had a while back, Aaron, where we touched on men going their own way. Yep. And you brought it up with me, and I said, no, flat out, I disagreed with it. After you explained from your point of view, it actually gave me more of an understanding. And as having a growth mindset, I thought, well, shit, he's right. So I'm not an expert in every field. I'm not even an expert in one field, but I am an Australian. I am a loudmouth little bastard. And if I want to have an opinion, well, that's my God-given right. So if someone can prove me wrong, great. That'll help me grow. So yeah. I encourage everybody to just speak your truth. It's as easy as that. You don't have to have a qualification to be honest.
And you touched on a really good point there, have a growth mindset.
Right?
I
like that.
Because there's a lot of people that don't. They do sprout their opinion and it's their be all and end all. You know what? Go back and have a think about what it is and what someone else has taught you. And if you still want to have your opinion, that's fine. But like you said, you thought about it, you had that growth mindset, and you challenged yourself on your opinion, which is really healthy.
It's nice to grow as a person, right?
Yeah, it's really healthy for you.
Yeah. And it comes back to admitting that you don't know everything. And
no, we don't.
Knowledge is powerful, and doesn't matter where it comes. Sometimes you get the most knowledge from a homeless person. You're not always going to get it from a highly qualified professor. It could be just somebody you pass in the street, because it just comes back to having the growth mindset, understanding their opinion and mixing it with your own, and then coming up with whatever you think's right.
Yeah.
With the rally, the next rally coming up this Saturday, I'm assuming there's going to be one in Adelaide as well, mate?
Yes, no, that's a fair assumption to make, mate. I'll be in attendance. I'm having a little bit of look. As I said at the start, and I'll have as many rallies that need to attend. I'll go to, but I do think that at some point we're going to have to come up with stage 2, because at this whole marching and then everybody goes home is not really accomplishing anything.
No,
so I just hope that this time there is massive numbers across the country, and I hope that Anthony Albanese. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, you prick, is what I'd like to say. But I just don't see it going that far. But it's in mass numbers, you just don't know what will take place. So,
Daniel, how many people would you say were in Adelaide at the last rally?
So it was mixed numbers thrown at me, but the police put up a number of 15,000, I was told.
Yeah.
I do know by the time we walked from Rundle Park to Peace Park, I think it's called, I'm not sure on the names, but by the time the first crew got to the destination, they were still coming out of the original park.
Yeah,
so,
wow.
And I'd guesstimate it's probably a 2.5 kilometre walk.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you have any haters on the sidelines?
There was a couple of, it was quite strategic that there was actually a few white supremacy posters put up on the side of the Freemason buildings, which a few people tried to rip down. And for some reason or another, the police took offense to that. So I'm not sure what they were playing at there. I wouldn't like to speculate or point the finger, but it was also a very strange scenario when the NSN man got up on the stage. It was, I'm not sure, firstly, how we managed to get up there, but secondly, everything broke down from there. So before that, the speeches were fine. They were all inclusive. They were basically talking about mass immigration and government overreach. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. But I wasn't close enough to see, so I couldn't have an accurate description of what took place. But it definitely wasn't like mainstream media portrayed. There was no violence that I seen.
Yeah,
exact same thing. All right, mate, we're going to wrap it up, and which is a shame because honestly, I think we could talk for another hour very easily.
No, look, and I really appreciate you inviting me, and it was nice to meet you. And keep
really
doing what
nice
you're doing
meeting
because people need to tune in and hear the raw truth. So.
Couldn't agree more, mate. We'll have to have you back. No question about that. We've got so many subjects we want to talk about this. So just
the list is long.
Very long, indeed. Grab a toilet roll and I'll start writing the list. That's how long it is. But on the way out, I just really would love you to basically just give me the elevator pitch about what mutual respect is about. I am completely on board with what you're trying to do. I'm a big believer in it, but I'd love other people to know what you're doing.
Okay, and I appreciate the chance to speak on it. Mutual respect started off to expose parental alienation. As we touched on before, that's where this all has driven me from. But again, it's grown legs as well. So mutual respect now, I believe, reinstated across society would alleviate 99% of the troubles that we all face. Because at the end of the day, you wouldn't do to somebody else what you wouldn't appreciate them doing to you. And this goes from citizen to citizen, but it also goes from politician to citizen. So if the government decided, hang on, are we doing the right thing by them? Would they like it if it was happening back the other way? It all comes down to mutual respect, in my opinion. And if it was reinstated, our future generations would feel a lot more comfortable to be able to live the Australian way. So,
the Australian way. I like
the
that.
Australian way. That's how it should be. Peace, love, and harmony. Everybody looks after each other. You don't take from anybody else. You don't cause any chaos. You enjoy each other's company. And if you don't, you know what? That's your right too. But don't start an issue about it. Just walk out and leave it at that.
When you say that, that reminds me of growing up in the 80s. That's how it was.
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
It was so like that. I'm from I live up in the hills, so we have a lot of Italians and we had a lot of Chinese up there and we had a lot of Dutch people and Poms, people from everywhere. Indians, didn't matter where they were from. And you know what? It was mutual respect. Exactly what you said. We just got on with it.
I find it so sad. My best mate when I was 11 was an Aboriginal guy.
Oh yeah.
And like it came down from the family that he wasn't allowed. One day came to school when I was 11 years old, crying his eyes out, being told his family said he wasn't allowed to be friends with a white anymore, right? And like, where's the respect either way? Honestly, we were just two mates. Who gave a damn about our backgrounds? Who cared about the colour of your skin?
You see kids together, and what are they? They just envelope each other. They love each other. You know, like young kids, they have no filter. They just get on with it.
Hate is taught,
and that's a valid point because racism is taught. It's no doubt about that. Children do not become racist without heavily influences outside of them.
However, we still used to call the Italians wogs,
which I like.
Well, look, I'm 45, and Aaron still refers to me as the wogs. But that's the other thing too. I don't find that offensive at all.
No.
You know, that's like me calling Aaron a bald, overweight man. That's not offensive.
Yeah. It's the truth, right?
I've got feelings. Hang on. Triggered. Where's my son?
Hey, we've touched on this topic, mate. Feelings aren't as important as facts.
Damn straight. That's true. Oh, look, ain't that the truth? And, we've got to be very straight down the line with people and get back to the facts of, you know, if we all get along and we all pull the mickey out of each other and we realise that we're far more similar than we are different. The colour of our skin, the background, it's got bugger all to do with it. If we're going to have a truly unique and beautiful culture in this country, guess what?
Politicians need to step the fuck up.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just come up with the answer. Let's just put a bloody big ring, a big fence around Canberra. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Right? Job done.
Well, that's probably a good idea. What if it was just a crater? That would be a better idea.
And on that bombshell, we'll end the show, mate. Yeah, you're absolute pleasure having you on the show again. Quick little plug. Where can we reach you, find you, look at your information for Mutual Respect?
Unspoken Truth, Mutual Respect. I'm on TikTok. I under the Exposing the Narrative is what I am on TikTok. Mutual Respect's on Facebook. I am technologically handicapped, so bear with me if you do reach out. I'll get back to you at some point. But just look, I'd just like to leave it on this note. Just speak your truth. Nobody has to like it. It's your truth. It's your opinion. If they don't like it, well, so be it.
Yep. Love it, mate. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much for being a guest.
Daniel.
And we'll see you again very, very soon.
Thanks for joining us on The One Thing, Edge Radio Australia.
Ever felt lost online finding the right businesses?
Absolutely, like a needle in a haystack.
Introducing the Worldwide Awake Business Directory.
Tell me more.
It's your hub for businesses sharing your values. Discover eco-friendly products, socially responsible services, and more.
Count me in. I'll check it out straight away.
Find businesses aligned with your values on the Worldwide Awake Business Directory. Start making a difference with every purchase.